Hello, Medfield. Welcome to the newest edition of Medfield People. My guest today is Armand Janjigian, a longtime resident of Medfield, and also, as most or some of you may know, involved heavily in the Kingsbury Club. But I'd like to talk out first how you ever got to Medfield, Armand, and when.
Probably maybe over 35 years ago. Basically what happened, I was living in Westwood at the time, and I'm very involved with horses. And at the stable that we were keeping our horses in Dover, I had met my wife there, and she was a nurse, and there were several other nurses there that were close friends. And they knew that I was involved in business, and they said, well, they wanted to start some small business that they could do after they left the hospital, because the pressures of working in the hospital and so forth. So they asked if I would help them, if they would get them started and so forth.
Okay.
So I said, okay.
It didn't sound easy, right?
I said, well, this shouldn't be too much. It's a small business they want to start. So a week or two later, they came back and said, well, we decided what we want to do. And I said, what's that? We want to open a restaurant in Chestnut Hill. I said, wait a minute. I thought you were going to do a part-time business. A restaurant in Chestnut Hill, that's full-time. All of your work.
And it's hard.
You know, and there's no way. And I knew I would get heavily involved trying to help them get going. So I said, that's crazy. You know, why don't you think about something different? So I said, you know, we're all involved in horses. Why don't you do something to do with horses? So anyway, we came up with opening up a tack shop.
Okay.
So they said, okay, where are we going to open and so forth? And we said, you got to open around here someplace. Somebody mentioned, I don't know how Medfield came up, but we were living in Westwood.
Sheer luck.
So I inquired in Medfield to see if I looked around to see if there were any areas that we could open this up. And I went into the town hall, and somebody said, well, you should talk to Mike Sullivan. So that's the first time I ever met Mike Sullivan. This is probably 35 years or more ago. So I went and saw Mike, and I said, listen, here's the story. I explained everything. I said, you know, we're thinking of opening up a tack shop. And he was very much for business. At that time, there wasn't really anything new opening in the town. And he said, you know, that would be great. I think it would be good for the town. So we found this location in Etta Maloney's building. And I went over and I talked to Etta, and I said, listen, we'd like to rent some space from you. So we rented the space. So there were two other girls, along with my wife, who were going to open this up. So we started, and the business started to grow. And as time went on, after a couple of years, one of the girls got a job on the West Coast.
Okay.
The other one got divorced from her husband and went someplace. So now it's only my wife. So we were living in Westwood, but we had a small farm there, but we weren't keeping our horses there. So we decided we wanted something bigger where we could keep our horses right with us. And one of the women that was involved with the Norfolk Hunt Club that would come into the tack shop knew we were looking for a place, and she said, gee, there's a place that just came up for sale. I don't think anybody knows about it. It's on Allen Lane. So I went, and we ended up buying some parcels that were owned by Joe Allen, who was a longtime resident in the town. And there was another parcel owned by Paul Nyron. And they had combined all this land together and were selling it. So we bought it. So now my wife says, you know, I have no time at all to spend in the tack shop. So now we got a business that's ongoing, and none of the principals left to
And
run it.
for people that don't know where Ed and Maloney's business was, or building was, it's right on the corner of North and 109.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So we were there for a number of years, and the business kept growing in spite of itself. So we needed another location. So we moved to where Noon Hill Cafe Grill is.
Okay.
At that time, there was a video store. They used to rent video.
I remember that.
And there was a clothing store down the other end of it. And there were some engineers or something upstairs. So we were there for a number of years. And again, now it's gotten too big to handle. And the landlord at that time had some other ideas. Our lease was coming up, so we had to find another place. And there was nothing in the town that was available at that time. So we had to move it to Sherburne. And after we went there, I had a manager running it, and she wanted to buy it, and we ended up selling it to her. So that's how we ended up starting the business here, and we ended up buying land, and then we built a horse farm, and that's how we got involved in Medfield. And as far as the Kingsbury Club, what happened there is I've been involved in business all my life, and back in the late 80s, the banks were in a lot of trouble, and the FDIC was closing a number of the banks. And I have a business consulting company that's small. It's just myself and my son involved in. And I knew some of the directors of a couple of the banks, and they asked if I would act as a consultant for them to analyze some of these businesses, because the FDIC was pressuring them because they had a lot of non-performing loans, businesses, and so forth. So I made an agreement with them that rather than them pay me, I didn't want to work for the bank. I said, well, I'll look at these properties and I'll give you my opinion and analysis, provided that if there's something that has been foreclosed on or you're about to foreclose, and I want to get into the bidding process, that you will finance it. So we started out, and I looked at all kinds of property. Most of them were worthless. The bank had to absorb the losses.
I won't ask you where those are.
Oh, some of them you can't even imagine how bad the loans were. And
scary.
One of them that I looked at was a property in Medway that was a horse farm and a development that had gone under. And the bank was into it for millions of dollars. It was about a 60-acre parcel with a horse farm, with a large indoor ring and so forth. And the bank had no clue as to what had really happened there. So when I took the property over there, I said, okay, I'll take the property over for you with an option to buy it. And we negotiated how much it would be because they had already foreclosed.
Sure.
And so I went to the town and I went to one of the meetings I can't remember which board. And when I went there, they wouldn't even let me talk. They were so upset that they had given cease and desist orders and so forth. And so I told them that I would give me an opportunity to straighten out these issues. And at that point, will you let me sit down and tell you what I propose to do? So anyway, I did the things. I resolved it all. I got all the permitting for 60 houses. And I finished the permitting process.
I never knew you did all that.
Well, again, this was a part of my consulting business, so I go into almost any kind of a business. All businesses are the same, and people don't understand that. The worst people to run a business that I've found are people that are involved directly in that field. Like, right now we have tennis club, these indoor complexes, and you get people that are very involved in tennis or very involved in fitness. For them to open up a tennis facility, they're not really the best. They have no background in business.
Oh, that's
And they
right.
don't understand you need, all businesses are basically the same. So anyway, what happened, I got the permitting process through. And at that time, there was another neighbor of mine, Franchi, that lived in the town who was in construction. And I had him doing some of the construction work there. And he approached me and said, listen, you don't need this. You got all your other dealings. Why don't you sell this to me? So I ended up selling it to him, and he ended up developing the property and built, like, I guess it was 60 homes and whatever.
Wow.
So that was one of the properties that I had looked at and I had negotiated with the bank. And at that time, they also brought up that they had a property they were about to foreclose on in Kingston. And I said, I didn't even know where Kingston was. And I said, well, what is it? And they said, well, it's an indoor tennis facility. So I went out and looked at it. And this, meanwhile, I'm looking at these other properties, and I'm doing my own consulting business as well. So I looked at it, and just before the foreclosure, had a fire in the property. And so they were rebuilding the property in order to sell it. And at that time, it was only an indoor tennis facility. So I did some research, and I saw that most of these indoor tennis facilities were going broke. It was like a lot of other businesses, like 10-pin bowling and so forth. It gets popular, and everybody opens these facilities, and there's too many of them, and then they fold. So, and this is what happened with tennis. A lot of the people had opened up these indoor tennis facilities, and they were all going broke. I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them. So I did some research, and I found that the newest thing was a multi-purpose complex where you encompassed not just tennis, but fitness and a lot of these other activities. And I said, wow, this would be a great location for it after I was there for a while helping the bank. So I said, okay, I'll help you run this and get it straight until you foreclose, as long as you allow us to bid. And I already negotiated what my arrangement would be with the bank. It was a certain percentage down, and that they would back whatever I bid at this auction. So at that time, so I said, well, I had been talking to some of my friends that were interested in investing with me. So we started, and I said, you know, it'd be good to have somebody, if I'm going to put a group together here, it would be good to have somebody that knows a little bit about tennis. So my brother-in-law knew a gentleman that had been a part owner in, I think it's Longfellow, out in Wayland area. And he was the tennis director at the country club in Brookline. So I met him, and I said, look, I'm putting a little group together, and if you're interested, you can get involved with us. And the idea was, I told him what my idea was, that we would start out with just tennis, but then we would expand and incorporate a lot of these other ideas. So so there were 5 of us. One of them was Bill Garnett, who was a neighbor of mine, who has a business right here in Medfield. The other was my son, and the other was Bill Garnett's brother, who was an endodontist. So there were 5 of us. So what happened was we bought the place and started to do some renovations to get it into where we wanted. And my arrangement with the bank was that I had told them what my idea was, that they would loan us the money for this expansion in order to incorporate these other ideas. Well, what happened was the FDIC closed them. So they were the last bank that was, I believe it was the last bank that was closed by the FDIC.
Oh, God.
So now I don't even have a bank. I'm dealing with the FDIC. And so there's no way I'm getting the money to to expand. So we went through this whole process, and we finally got a bank, and then we started to expand. So what we did, the first expansion was to include fitness. At that time, we had 7 tennis courts there. So we took over one of the tennis courts and made it into fitness. And we changed the type of membership and so forth that we were selling. And after a few years, about maybe another 5 years, we then built the indoor, a bubbled swimming pool, which is indoor and outdoor. And then we built we had a restaurant there, but we expanded upon it and made it nicer than what it was. Then we built a beautiful day spa that they wanted to name after me, which I was against, but they did it. They all voted. My son and everybody voted me down. So anyway, we built a beautiful day spa, which has all the features of, that these top-level spas have. So what happened in this whole process, we had been approached to expand. We were actually approached by a Asia Pacific group. They did research here, wanted us to go to Shanghai. I don't know if I ever told you these things. Do you want me to get into some of that?
Well, I'd like to get more into the as you got into
You
the
want
Medfield
me
stuff,
to
sure.
just
If we have time again, we
segue?
can talk about that.
Okay.
One thing I like about your adventures down there is the name Kingsbury comes from King from Kingston and Bury from Duxbury.
That's right.
And that cracked when people said, how did you get that name? And I told them about the Kingston Duxbury, which I remember because my son was living in Duxbury at the time. And you and I had talked about the club, and I brought David over to see it. And that's amazing that name Kingsbury hit down there, came up here, and Kingsbury is such an old name here, including the name of the high school. It's a very, very famous name here in Medfield. So it's such a normal progression for you to go from down there up to here.
Well, what happened was people had, because I have a lot of friends over the years developed in Medfield and knew that we looked about going into China and so forth. And they said, well, you live in this town and you might expand. Why don't you consider expanding here? So again, I went to Mike Sullivan and I said, Mike, some people have approached me about putting a club like this here. Do you think this would be good for the town? And he said, well, business, it'd be nice to have business come into the town. So I looked around for land, there was no land. And he mentioned to me also that there was this parcel that the town had considered leasing to the YMCA.
Yep, I was on the committee.
And so I said, okay, fine. I said, what do we do? And so he said, well, it's got to be a long process, which it was. It took about 6 years to get through all the permitting and everything. So now the 6 years, by the time this processing developed and we were able to then put the financing together and start construction, the recession hit. So it wasn't the best time to open.
It probably wasn't.
And originally, and what we did when we first came here, we got permitted to build a larger facility than what we have here. But the bank pulled back and said, no, we want you to just build this basic facility, and then let's see what happens as time goes on. So that's how we actually came to Medfield. Mm-hmm. I had no plans on expansion into Medfield.
Just happened, sure luck.
It's just like I said, it was just something that developed, and my wife wasn't too happy about me opening up more businesses, but we did, and I think it's been a pleasant experience here. I think when we get done with building the total facility out like we did in Kingston, I think it's going to be a pretty nice facility. About 90% of our membership there are Medfield residents.
That's what I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah.
So currently, what do you offer now at the Medfield site?
Right now, we have 4 tennis courts, We've got a very large fitness complex. We have a nursery daycare type.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
thing.
about that.
That's for the membership, and we have a restaurant. And then we do have golf pods that we run with a golf pro, mostly in the winter months, but it's available year-round. It's golf simulators, and you can play most of the top courses in the country. That's all through these computerized, and you hit.
It's amazing to see that because I've seen it.
It is.
You feel like you're on the course. It's so real.
It's really amazing how accurate it is. It's a little different feeling than playing real golf, but it's amazing how accurate it is. They make these things so when you hit that, it's an actual golf ball, actual clubs, and you hit the screen. There's all these computer sensors before the ball actually hits it, and actually when it does hit the screen, and it tells you. If you look, it'll tell you, the speed, the spin, all these different things. Wow. It's really an amazing thing.
What kind of a mind devises stuff
oh
like
boy,
that?
yeah. Well, today, with these people that are computer literate, I'm not. Fortunately, my son is. Bob, he handles all the IT work, everything to do with electronics, and even everything's computerized with payrolls.
Everything is, you're right.
And so, yeah, you have to stay, up with what is going on, and it's a great plus for us there because it allows, it fits into a lot of the things that, and who we cater to. It's a family type operation because families can come there. They can either, depending upon the age of the child, can put them in the nursery, or if they're old enough, they can get involved in tennis, and at some point they get involved in fitness. We do run a program where I believe it's on Saturday nights where they can come in and put their child in the nursery and have dinner.
Oh, really?
And instead of paying a lot of money to have somebody, especially today, there's so much concern about bringing babysitters into the home and who they are, and unless you really know them and so forth. And here, this is a safe environment, and so it works out fairly well. And so we're just hoping the membership continues to grow, and we're looking forward to expansion, which I'm hoping that will happen within the next year or two.
And what would you like to expand to?
The first thing we want to do is build the indoor pool.
Oh, indoor pool.
Eventually, we're hoping to have two pools. We'll have the indoor pool and an outdoor pool. So what we're going to do with this indoor pool is build it with a lot of glass and French doors so that we can open it up so that it's going to have a sense of being outdoors. So it will never replace an actual outdoor pool, but we're going to try and make it like that rather than strictly an indoor pool.
And it'll be heated then, I assume.
Yes. And the beautiful thing about it, when we opened the pool down in Kingston, or before we opened it, and we were going to start construction, I got contacted by swim teams, high school swim teams from the North Shore.
Wow.
Everywhere. I'm not a swimmer, and I didn't understand that swim time is very difficult for a lot of the schools to obtain, and they have to get it wherever they can get it. And Medfield, really needs a swimming pool. I can remember years and years ago where they tried to build one.
Yeah, it came up to town meeting, I remember that.
So there's a great need, and when we do know we're going to build it, I've had a close relationship with Bob McGuire at the school, and he's asked me to help on a few different things, and we've helped in any way we can with the school. So the first thing I would do is make sure that the swim team for Medfield High School is going to be accommodated there.
Good.
And we'll make that commitment with them that they are going to be able to use the facility. And I believe they're involved with Dover and Sherburne, but it'll, we'll offer it to them. If they're involved with these other towns, that's fine too. I think it's going to be very good because we already have people that run some of the advanced swim programs from Kingston that will come up here.
Wow.
And get involved in that. They take teams around the country, actually. So we have different levels of swimming. The general manager that I have right now here in Medfield, Brad Harris, originally came to me when we first built the pool in Kingston and was an aquatics director. He was he went through college on the swim team at BU.
Okay.
And
I was on the swim team at Penn.
Huh?
I was on the swimming
really?
team at Penn.
Oh, yeah. So I watched everybody swim like this, and I wish I knew how to swim as good as that. But and what happened was we tried to promote within, and over the years he wanted to advance and not just be a aquatics director. So we made him the assistant general manager down there. Kingston, we have about total about 150 employees, and about close to 100 permanent and full-time, and about 50 part-time.
And how many members?
Down there, we count a member. We've got all these different types of memberships. We count memberships that, whether it's a single, a family, or a couple, as one membership.
Sure.
So we have in excess of 1,600 memberships, which would actually be about 5,000 to 6,000
I'm sure
people.
it would be, sure.
So, and then
Wow.
we have summer memberships and programs. We don't count them in our membership base. And it's the same thing here that will happen in Medfield. The beauty is we do have a lot of part-time employees, and again, most of them live either in Medfield or the surrounding
And that's great.
towns.
I like that.
So we've, as the business grows, we'll be hiring more and more. And it's great. Many of my employees, like in Kingston, have been with me when I started. We have a very low turnover. The membership turnover, attrition rate in our industry is over 50%.
Wow.
It's amazing when you think of that, because many of these facilities have thousands of memberships. And you think that they have to turn that over. Just to stay even, they have to turn over, enroll 50% of it just to stay even. Our attrition rate has always been around between 10 and 20%.
That's good. That's great.
We don't, like in Kingston now, and we're starting to see it here, if we sign up 10 memberships, I will guarantee you at least 3 or 4 of them will be people that had been members, that had either moved away or stopped for physical reasons and have rejoined the club. So it's good because it tells you that they didn't leave the club on bad terms.
Sure.
We do exit surveys and so forth to make sure people aren't dissatisfied. But
you let the tennis team use your facility too, didn't you? To practice?
Yes.
I think that's
the
great.
school team, and we also, since we're running Glen Ellen, we allow the tennis team and the golf team to use the Glen Ellen facility as well.
Wow.
So I told the school, in any way, so their athletic director stays in touch with us whenever they want to do something.
Oh, that's very generous.
And we've had a good relationship in the towns that we've operated in. We try to, fit into the community too. And I again, as a business person, naturally we were in it to make money. I mean, that's what the bottom line is. But I think we bring in a good service too, because right now people are living older and older, and the last thing you want to do is just vegetate for 15 years. So exercise is an important ingredient in how you are going to live your older years, and you have to start it when you're younger. And, I mean, you could start it at any time, but you should stay active, and the Surgeon General keeps saying, and you have to exercise, to keep everything going.
Sure.
And we run all kinds of programs for all different ages, and we've got some great trainers there that, for different activities, spinning, yoga, you name it. And, we try to hire the best people, and run the best programs, and it works because the membership continues to grow. So
are you open 7 days a week?
7 days a week. We only close 2 days out of the year.
Christmas and Easter, or what?
I think that's what it is.
Is that what it is? Or
It's
Thanksgiving?
No, so, Thanksgiving, what happens is everybody wants to work out either just before it and just after it. So they're going to, I don't know if you can work off all that food you eat right away, but that's a big day. The day before and the afternoon and the morning off. So, it's surprising if you go there, you see everybody out.
I know your bar stays open a little later than some, doesn't it?
We stay as far as during the day.
Mm-hmm.
We're open. I think we close around 11 o'clock, and the food probably around 10 o'clock.
Somewhere around there.
Like that. And it's great. One of the things that it is open to the public, and it's been difficult to get that out, that it is open to the public.
You're right.
The restaurant and bar is open. One of the problems is it's inside the facility in such a way that there's no outside exposure
That's
to
true
it.
too.
And again, Ice House Road, there's no lighting, and people driving down there, it's dark. So unless you're there for a purpose, it's not conducive.
Mm-hmm.
The Council on Aging, which is beautiful, again, the people go there, know it's their hours, and so even if it's in nighttime, they don't have a problem going there. But you certainly wouldn't drive by and drive down Ice House Road without knowing there's a reason to go there.
Right.
So it's not easy to promote the restaurant, but it's a very nice restaurant. And we've got a great chef there. And as time goes on, we'd like to promote that a little more and maybe try to get some outside exposure to it in some fashion.
You used to, a couple of years ago, you used to have a Wednesday night special night, I think. It was an all-you-can-eat with it was a different chef, I think. But they would have a different theme each time. My son and one of my sons and his kids used to like to go, so we went up with them a lot. And
the thing is, we've had several chefs since we've opened. Same thing happened in Kingston. Until you get the right chef, it's not an easy position to fill. And fortunately, in Kingston, we came up with the right one who's been with us now for over 10, 15
that's
years.
great.
We've been open in Kingston for like 23 years now. And and what I was driving at is these chefs have their own things that they like to do. So it's not easy to say, I want you to do this or prepare this. They're a little bit different.
It used to be crowded, though. I can remember that. We had trouble getting seats sometimes. We go, 6 of us together.
I'll talk to this chef and see.
Tell him. I've got an idea for you, because it worked before.
Yeah, they're you get the right chefs, and they'll stay, but it's not easy to come up with good chefs today. I don't know why. It's not an easy position. We're fortunate we got the chef that we have right now. It's working out. And most of the other people that have been there, the tennis pros and so forth have been with us. You do get turnover because you get some of the younger people that want to travel, they want to, progress and different things. So you do get some turnover, but fortunately my key people are with me, since I started. So.
That's great.
So
you're happy with it so far?
Oh yeah, very much so.
And how many years now has it been open in Medfield?
It's about 5 years
5
now.
years.
Yeah. And when we get fully built out, I think it'll be a place that, part of the town. It'll be, I know even now, people, like I said, about 90% of the membership is Medfield residents. So that sort of tells you that there was a need for it in the town. And it's great for the real estate brokers to promote the fact, because people are so involved in taking care of themselves and their fitness that when they go to a town, a new town, they ask about that. And so a lot of the realtors will promote the fact that, that we're there. And I feel very proud of, the facility. I think we got a beautiful facility there. We spend more money on maintenance than you could ever imagine, just to make sure the place is kept spotless. Because people come in and they want to make sure that the place is clean. They don't care that we were busy, for 2 hours, and they don't want to hear that. They want that place clean, and so we have people cleaning constantly all day long. The men's and ladies' rooms and showers and floors. It's very, very important. And we pride ourselves on that. Our facilities run at a much higher cost employment-wise than most of these facilities do. And what you've noticed is the trend has been to these what they call big box, like Fitness LA that opened up like on Route 1. And what they are, they're no frills. They're beautiful facilities, but they're not service oriented. So you're just basically a number, and ours is a little different. People come in, they get to know other people, and they're from all walks of life. People that don't make a lot of money, people that make a lot of money, and they have a common goal or a common interest there, same type of fitness activity, and they get to know each other. Many friendships are formed there, many business deals conducted there.
I would think it would be.
It's amazing. I mean, you can't, it's funny because you see these people in one environment and you don't have a clue as to what they do, for business. Or, I mean, I know I all of a sudden, I hate to intrude on anyone, so I'll say hi and so forth, but unless the person's interested in talking to me, I try to stay out of there, make sure that they're enjoying what they're doing. And sometimes, like down in Kingston, 10 years will go by and I'll see the same person I've said hi to, and I find out he's a professor at Harvard. Oh, he's written all. We even have some movie stars there, that we don't promote them who they are, but that belong to the club. They come in, everybody treats them, it doesn't bother them. And so it's a great atmosphere and again, regardless of what you do, it's not the cheapest club because we have to spend so much money in maintaining everything and so forth and running the programs that we do. But if, today you can't put a price on taking care of yourself, really.
I know the committee preparing my retirement dinner, retirement party actually, that came up last month. They met at your place for a couple of months before that, getting everything together and planning it all. And they did a super job. But they loved meeting at your place. They said it worked out beautifully.
Well, we have a little room there too that we try to make available to some of the town committees and so forth if they want. It's a little private room they can go in. They don't have to have a meal or anything. They can just meet in there if they want it.
Yeah.
So that takes place there too. Try to make it as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, they were very comfortable. So
did they work everything out all right?
They did a great job planning that party, I'll tell you that. That was a dynamite party. It really
was a good party. I enjoyed it.
300 people. In fact, a little over 300, they said. which
It
was
was very
terrific.
good. Everything was good
Perfect.
about it.
It was very good.
Food was good.
Basil did the catering,
yeah,
yeah.
and it was really good.
And the center is a beautiful spot for a place
It
like
is.
that.
Roberta does it. I tell you, they do a great job over there.
Is that an advantage for you, having the center kind of across the street?
Well, it is in the sense that people come there, like, and they have the elections there. The people see what we have
That's true.
there.
That is true. Hey, what's that building back there?
Yeah, so it's an advantage like that. Plus, they're a great neighbor, and we try any way we can help Roberta and the council. We would do that. We do that. I think it's great that it took a long time coming in order to get the town to approve it. But what a beautiful place, and they run it so well. It's really nice.
Yeah,
it's a great feature for the town. Yeah. Most towns don't have anything like that.
No, but it's important to keep the people my age in town. If we move, that's a 5-bedroom house. It's going to go to some other family that had a lot of kids like we did. So it's important to keep the older people here, and also keeps a demographic balance. So that you don't want just all young people or just old people. You want some of everything.
Right. And that's why I think the town government here this town is run really, really well. And they've been able to keep a lot of these older people in because they've kept the tax rate down. And that's all due to the local government, how they've run this town. And that's the only reason you're going to be able to do that, because otherwise, let's face it, in the last 30 years, I've seen what's happened in this town, and it's gone from, a nice sleepy little town, and the homes they're doing tear downs everywhere.
I know.
It's a little different town than it was then. So you have to try to make sure that it's affordable for all these seniors.
That's important to me. Very important. Yeah, I would hate to think we're a town whose average income is $250,000 a year or something. I would like to keep it, as I said, demographically balanced. I like the idea of having people with very little income, and then I don't mind rich people. Rich people are nice.
No, I agree, and I think that Council on Aging goes a long way because being involved with people, I'm sure the seniors would hate to leave that and go to some other town where they don't have a facility.
We get a lot of people there from other towns that use our center.
Oh, really?
Quite a few that use our center on a regular basis.
I see the programs that they run there. They take a lot of the people on trips and so forth. There's always some activity going on, which is great. I mean, you don't see that everywhere. I don't see it, and I've been involved in a number of towns.
Yeah.
It's really a plus for this town, I'll tell you. And they did a beautiful job. Same architect that designed our building, that designed the Council on Aging, Dan Mayers.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure he designed that.
I don't remember now. It's been, 10, 15, I've forgotten how long ago it's been that the building went up.
What a nice job they did.
And I almost didn't vote for the center because I wasn't sure we wanted to spend all that money, and I wasn't sure people would use it. And all of a sudden, quite a few people I knew that were my age or older said having something like that in town might help keep them here. And that, to me, that was the selling point. That's why I finally voted for it. And now I use it myself. Well, I retired from work a few years ago, so I do use it.
I think you did that. You hit it on the head, because you go there a lot of days. I mean, that parking lot is almost full, full. So there is a demand. There's
and
no
so's
question.
Yours. So's yours sometimes.
Well, we just had to expand
parking
areas. So
it's a good sign that you need it.
Yeah, because the membership has grown, and I think it's good. I'd like to see a lot more, more businesses come into the town.
I would too. I would like more businesses
help keep
too.
that tax rate down.
We've got to.
It'd be nice, because it's hard, trying to run a town when everything keeps going up, and where do you get the money, So.
But you help by putting your business there.
Well, I hope so.
All we have to do is get a few more to
yeah,
get Lord's full again,
great.
and the Friendly Store full again. Good to see all that stuff go.
It'd be nice to see some nice businesses that first of all, bring in money to the town, but also could be of service to the town.
Sure.
Something where the people in the town could take advantage of
That's
as
right.
well. You know, that would be an ideal scenario. You know, so.
Would you have any parting words for our audience today?
This was rather a surprise, so I wasn't really ready. It's nice talking to you. I've known you a long time, and you know, I remember. Well, I don't know if we have much time, but it's really been. I've seen how the town has come a long way in the years since I've been here. I mean, we built our horse farm there, and I love it. I really, even though I grew up, born and brought up in Watertown, I consider this my town.
Yeah, I consider it mine too.
Yeah, it's great town.
I was born in Philadelphia, but this is my town.
I think people, I tell you, it's a great town for people to think about. If they're moving and looking for a place, boy, it's a great town.
And 3 of my adult kids have moved back.
Really?
And I think that's great. I think that we're very lucky that they've done that. We really are lucky.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Well, thank you for watching out there. And if anybody has any idea of people they'd like to see on the show, give me a call or call the station here, and they'll pass the word on to me. So once again, thank you for watching Medfield People, and I hope you'll watch us again.
Production support provided by Medfield.tv. Access to our community.
Hi, I'm Richard DeSaga, and you are watching Medfield.tv.